All right, this has been a common debate lately, the housing market. Let's talk about this article. I skimmed over it, but I'm going to be kind of going through it again with you. So the premise of the article is that the housing downturn, the imminent housing crash, could be shorter and shallower than expected. I kind of saw this coming. I've been saying this for a while. A crash doesn't really make sense. A slowdown, sure, but like I've kind of been saying, prices have been slowing down. High interest rates have prompted homeowners to stay put. Yep, people are locked into their rates, right? They don't want to leave their 2.5%, 3.5% mortgage for a new 6.5% to 7.5% mortgage. Fair enough. Can't buy the same house. Home prices aren't falling anymore after declining. Yep. Okay. And scarcity. There it is. Only took 3 paragraphs to get there. This is about supply and demand. Supply is low. We have no houses to sell, and demand is high. Everybody wants to buy a house. That leaves one option, a flood of supply, which Swonk, the chief economist at KPMG, said, short of a flood in supply, it's hard to bring these prices down. This is the same lady that said late last year that housing prices would fall 20% nationally. There's 2 huge red flags of that statement. The first one is 20% would be really hard to bring down, especially in the course of 12 months, which is an impressive feat if it happened, but it didn't. But it's not going to. And then nationally, saying that 20% nationally is super bold, just because right now, especially this year and last year, the housing market has been so split between like the West Coast and East Coast, almost directly down the middle. It's been crazy. But buyers are still giving up their surge. People are kind of on the sidelines. Listings that do still come on the market are still getting multiple offers. I'm glad they touched on that because I have personal experience with that. Just the Labor Day weekend, we submitted an offer on Friday, and the sellers had 2 open houses on Saturday and Sunday, and final highest and best were due on Monday at 7 p.m. We were competing with 6 other buyers. We came in over asking, and we got blown out of the water. So the market's still hot, especially in Florida. So I'm glad they talked about that. And in regards to having a flood in supply, which would bring prices down a little bit, I am not at all ruling that out. I'm not saying that's not a possibility. Warren Buffett made huge investments into home builders, which control how many houses kind of come out to an extent. And so that always leaves my mind open to a flood of supply. If builders are building, things are going to change, but they can only build so fast. So that's kind of where I back off of that. But I'm not ruling it out at all. It is a definite possibility. Let's see. Here we go. People beyond stressful. Tightened since the 2008-2009 financial crisis. Okay. Figured this was coming. It took longer than I thought. People are trying to compare 2020 to 2024 to 2008-2009 financial crisis, which is you can't really do. They're very, very different things. There's nothing to really compare. What caused the housing crash back then is not really happening now, and what's happening now is not happening back then. People just want something to compare to. They just want to be able to go back and have a sense of familiarity. And the only thing that you could really do that with is like maybe 70 and 71 and maybe 82, 84. But realistically, there's nothing really to compare to because every situation is so different. They talk about homeowners having so much equity in their homes. People are house rich right now. People are sitting on so much home equity that for foreclosures to happen would be really hard because they can pull equity out of their house, so they can take a HELOC, they can do whatever, and then they can refinance it when rates come down, which even if that's 2 years from now, which is almost impossible, but never say never, they're still fine. There's so much money sitting in houses. People are so house rich, it's insane. It's never been at levels like this before, which is it's because of the rise that we had in 2020 through 2022. Jerome Powell, I also wanted to, I know that they talked about him right here. He said in the Fed's meeting in Jackson Hole, where it's like the bankers elite meeting where they kind of talk about everything. He touched on the housing market, which I thought was interesting, which doesn't do all that often. He said, I can't find the actual quote, but he said something along the lines of prices have been decelerating over the last 18 months, which is very strategic wording. He's not saying prices are coming down. He's saying that they are going up slower, which is very, very good wording on his part. You know, he's prepped for the job, which I thought was cool that he talked about that. And then he said that the housing sector is showing signs of picking back up, and that was in Jackson Hole. So overall, good stuff, good article, but I think that a lot of people are really going back on what they thought last year, which I've been saying the whole time. There's somewhere in here, there's a board of economists and housing analysts of over 100 people, and they were predicting a 2.2% crash, decline, whatever. And they since retracted that statement, and they are predicting a 3.3% gain, which is a 5% difference, which sounds small, but it's very, very large when you're talking about housing prices. 5% is not something to just gloss over. These people were pretty far off, but they retracted it and they've changed their statement, which is good, I guess. But you're kind of just following the crowd. Yeah, good article.